or invention into a goods or service that create more values or for which customers will pay. Not only fulfill their requirement to the maximum extent, we have to fulfill their requirement. That is nothing but a innovation. So this is job to be done. So for example, job to be done is the highest purpose for which customers buy products, service, and solutions. Towards the end of this product, the customer should be satisfied to the maximum extent. So that is innovation. So we have to get n number of improved solutions until customer get satisfied. For example, this is uh, a light and warmth at home. So initially we got light from stars, and then fire, then candles, and then it gone to electricity, and even electricity, then it gone to UPS, uninterrupted power supply. Suppose power goes also, so we require uninterrupted power supply. So UPS come into picture. So that is a UPS is if we have electricity along with UPS, yes, we have fulfilled our electricity requirement. So this is what the job to be satisfied, job to be done, and which satisfy the customer's requirement. Not only that, before job to be done. Actually, if you can take an example of clean your teeth, old solution is we do a manual brushing. So new solution, you have ultrasonic brush, okay, that help us to clean our teeth. And on those days, what are the job done to be done is unlock door. So we'll be using a normal line. We use nowadays a metal key. It's a old solution. Nowadays we have a smart lock fingerprint reader. Okay, so if you have a thumb, if you put keep your thumb, you can open your lock. So this is the innovation. And search for information. On those days, if you want to search anything, you go to a library and then we search, and we need to search plenty of books according to our requirement. Nowadays in internet, if you type in a Google, we can get all the details. We can compare n number of materials will be available. We can compare. We can get the clear information about the requirement. So this is what this innovation is. So improving from library to internet, improving from metal key to smart fingerprint key, improving from manual brushing to ultrasonic brush, improving from stars to electricity and UPS. This is what innovation is. So at the end of the innovation, customer should be fully satisfied. That's the requirement of an innovation. So it's a type of new. What is new actually? First one is a market-driven innovation. Example, you can take an Amazon. So it operates and promotes everything around the customer. Now we can see even Amazon, they have introduced a language, Tamil. You can see ad nowadays. They have introduced a language, all the language, regional language they have introduced. Even they have introduced Tamil language also to help the customer to identify the availability in the Amazon and then to make and purchase. So their mindset is always on the consumer. They think always about the consumer and their requirements. Campaigns show how they are innovating to make the customer experience better, easier, and service even more reliable. So that's what is the requirement of the customer. They think always about the customer, and they do the modification accordingly. Next is technology-driven innovation, finding new uses for existing technology. So example for one of the most useful technological innovation is renewable energy. So starting from wind turbines, then we have photovoltaic cells, then concentrated solar power, geothermal energy, ocean wave power, and many other emerging innovations. So these are technology driven innovations. Then one is customer needs driven innovation. So these are the different types of innovation. Last one is a customer needs driven innovation. So understanding the customer need and their needs. For the current scenario, understanding the current requirement of more mask and different types of masks. You can see N95 masks and surgical masks. Accordingly, even when the pandemic starts, we even don't get all those masks more surplusly. So then situation, we have to adapt to the situations. So slowly, will have plenty of masks, surgical masks have been introduced, and N95 masks have been introduced, and plenty of even cloth masks have been different types and different materials have been introduced. And even the requirement, sanitizer is even become a more one of the common thing which we have used for modern life nowadays. So sanitizer, it has to be used automated sanitizer dispenser. You can see in hospitals and all those places. automated sanitizer dispense which have been introduced. So these are the customer need driven innovations. So these are the different types of new innovations. So actually, innovation is not equal to creativity. So innovation is something like fulfill the customer requirement to the maximum extent, not just satisfy, only satisfy, fulfill all their requirements. So actually, creativity is generation of new ideas. Only a generation of new ideas. It's like a open loop. So they don't get the feedback from the customer and then they improvise that. So if you keep on improvise, that is nothing but an innovation. So similarly, innovation is not equivalent to R&D, research and development. In research, we will have a number of questions. So creation of new knowledge is nothing but a research. So development is nothing but application of knowledge. So in research, question is known. In development, specification is known. But if you take innovation, both question and specifications are unknown. So that is quite different. So what I want to mean is, innovation is quite different from creativity and research and development. So this is one of the example, Skylock. It's a popular solar powered GPS bike lock in the world. On those days, we use we will use keep the bike without even simple locks. Thief even can they can keep the bike and then they can go. So it's there are several problems with a conventional bicycle lock. Actually, it is relatively easy to break. You won't know when it was stolen, and you will never be able to track it because cycles you cannot never able to track it. So this Skylock, it's a way I'm saying is Skylock is a different thinking, design thinking, and different innovations which made they are very popular. So most companies work on improving the durability of the chains, but thieves are still able to break them easily. Those days we have only chains to lock the bicycle. So this Skylock was developed to change that and uses technology to bring about the various features. Like they have keyless unlock. So using Bluetooth energy sensors allows Skylock to unlock whenever you are near to a bike. Even you need not to go and go near. When you are near to a bike, so those even you can unlock your bike. Theft alarms. So it sends alert through Wi-Fi if your bike has been moved or tampered with. Crash alert helps you to call for help when you have been a crash. Solar power, never have to change your solar battery. These are the features of solar Skylock. So we don't require a key. It's a keyless unlock. Theft alert is there. Crash alert is there. Solar powered. So don't require any battery. All those things. All this technology and innovations have been found in smartphone. Have been introduced in Skylock. That made them. It's a popular event. Innovation is the ability to trace your bike. You can trace your bike even if it is stolen. You can trace your bike by Wi-Fi and theft alarms, prevent it from being stolen, which makes Skylock so amazing. See, this is one of the things which makes innovation in a different fashion. So R&D and innovation is another comparison between research and development and innovation. So in R&D, your objectives are known. In innovation, the objectives are developed and are revisited. So we have to keep on investigated. What can be improved? What can be improved? What way it will satisfy the customer? So we have to keep on think and then revisit in innovation. But in R&D, objectives are known. We meet out the once we meet out the end solution, we will leave it. The interaction between functions are well defined. The interaction between functions are unstable or revisited in innovation. That's what we have to keep on think. What can be updated? So in R&D, the knowledge needed is known in the beginning of the process, but in innovation, the knowledge needed is not identified beforehand. So we have to keep on update it actually. So evaluation and validation methods are known. In innovation, evaluation and validation methods need to be developed. So that's what then only will get a complete product. So this is another thing which relate your design thinking and innovation. Three things. One is your technology, which is nothing but a feasibility. Another one is business, which is nothing but a viability. Third one is human values, which is nothing but a desirability. So intersection of all these things brings your innovations. You can see here, this is your technology, feasibility, looking at what are the feasibilities, and business, looking at what are the viabilities, human values, looking at what are the desirabilities. So intersection of all these things come to a point, that point is nothing but your innovation. So your design thinking is related with an innovation in this way. User desirability. So next one is the product should satisfy the customer's need by solving everyday problems through a user-centered process. So what do you mean by user-centered process? It's an iterative design process in which designers focus on the users and their needs in each phase of the design process. In this process, design teams involve users throughout the design process via a variety of research and design techniques to create highly usable and accessible products for them. So the another one is this can be achieved only deep understanding. So we have to understand the customer require in a more deeper manner. We achieve only through empathic persona map. What do you mean by empathic persona map? Is says, thinks, does, feels. It's nothing but empathic persona map. So this is nothing but your user desirability. Next one is market viability. Successful products require an integrated marketing strategy that identifies the target segment and builds the product brand in accordance with this target segment. For example, in this approach, to create a unified and seamless experience for consumers to interact with the brand enterprise, it attempts to meld all aspects of marketing communications such as advertising, sales promotions, public relations, direct marketing, and social media through their respective mix of tactics, methods, channels, media, and activities so that all work together as a unified force. It is a process. Integrating market strategy is a process designed to ensure that all messaging and communication strategies are consistent across all channels and are centered at the customers. So, such as tools SWOT, you might be knowing SWOT. SWOT is nothing but understanding the strength, understanding the weakness, understanding the opportunity and threat. Then only we can come to a conclusion. So, we have to do all these things. If you take any product, we have to understand the strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. Then only we can make a customer satisfied product. So, next one is technology possibility. So technology provides a state of tools. It's nothing but a best possible technology at a particular point of time. For example, some of the technology possibilities are self-driving cars. Even you can see now automated cars. Next technologies, one is two things which is being developed in automobile industries. One is completely self-driving, automated. Other one is electric vehicle. So that's what they are doing. A lot of research nowadays. And another technology possibilities, drones and flying cars. Nowadays, we can see drones. If you see news daily, we can find more number of drones that they are started to use to have a sanitization and to make things to move from one place to the other place, especially quarantine places and flying cars. So Amazon and Google are building drones to deliver household items. That's what even we can see in abroad. They are using drones to deliver the household items and high quality online education. So what they are doing almost every day nowadays, it becomes education becomes only through online. All these things are because of technology possibilities. So we everybody have smartphone, everybody have data card or Wi-Fi network connectivity. So it supports. So we are able to do online education. These are technology possibilities. Only if you have the data and then smartphone, then only we can do online educations. All this are development. So then packet supercomputers for everyone. It's nothing but a mobile. So we have all those things. Just imagine iPhone 11 has about 8.5 billions of transistors. Roughly, it's about 2,500 times more transistor than a 1995 Intel Pentium computer. In 1995, Intel Pentium computer has less than 2,500 times of iPhone transistor, which we have. Just imagine that what technology have been made as. So 2,500 times more number of transistor which is present in your mobile phone, iPhone 11 presently. So these are the this is only possible when technology develops. And next one is human-centered design and design thinking. There's slight difference between human-centered and design thinking. A human-centered design is a creative approach for problem solving that focus in understanding the people needs at the center of the issue to solve. In design thinking is a methodology that utilizes a human-centered approach to systematically, there it's the center of issue, it systematically identify opportunities for innovation. This is a slight difference between a human-centered design and design thinking. Then design thinking, we more emphasize on design thinking. There are Tim Brown, President and CEO of Innovation Design Engineering Organization, defines design thinking as follows. Design thinking is an human-centered approach to innovation that draws from the designer's toolkit to integrate the needs of people, the possibilities of technology, and the requirement of business success. So starting from empathize, define, ideate, prototype, finally test. So this is, together is known as a design thinking. First one is emphasize. We will see more elaborately about these 5 points. Emphasize. Emphasize is nothing but it's identified. Empathy is the foundation of human-centered design process. To emphasize, we need to observe, we need to engage, we need to immerse. So observe is nothing but view user and their behavior in the context of their lives. So understand the consumer lives. And engage is interact with and interview user through both scheduled and short intercept encounter. So interact with them and then try to find out what their requirement. Immerse is experience what user experience. After completing the product, give it to the customer and try to understand either it fulfill their requirement or still they need some more improvement in the product. Next one is define. Definition provides a point of view. It provides focus and frames the problem in an actionable way. It provides a reference for evaluating competing ideas. It inspires team. It empowers team to make decisions independently in parallel. Is something we have to revisit and reformulate your team by doing it. Guides your innovation efforts. These are the different points in define. When you define, all these things has to be focused. So what is point of view? Point of view is called POV. It's understanding the user and their need and their insight. So try to understand, not only understand, we have to deeply understand the customer's requirement. That's more important in insight. So next is ideate. Ideate transition from, this is a mode, transition from identifying problem into exploring the solutions. So you have to transit your problems into solutions. This is a mode of flaring rather than focus to broaden the solution set. During the flare stage, the team comes up with as many ideas as possible and then select the most promising ideas in the focusing stage. So we have to get more number of solutions, and then from that solutions we should explore which could be the best solution out of it. That is nothing but ideate. The next one is prototype. Fourth one is a prototype. Out of that, first in prototype is empathy gaining. So it's a tool to deepen understanding of the design space and user even at pre-solution phase of a project. Exploration is built to think, develop multiple solution options. Testing is create prototype to test as well as refine solutions with users. Inspiration is inspires others like teammates, clients, customers, investors by showing our vision. Last one is test. So to refine our prototypes and solutions, it's nothing but testing informs the next iterations of prototypes. Sometimes this means going back to the drawing board. So after even complete all your even you make your prototype, go back and then find yes, either the requirement is fulfilled or modification is required to fulfill the customer completely. We have to go back and then we have to think to learn more about our users. Testing is another opportunity to build empathy through observation and engagement. It often yields unexpected insights. So while we test only, we'll come to know our unexpected insights. So that will give a lot of inputs. So also to test and refine our point of view is sometimes testing reveals that not only we didn't get the solution right, but also that we fail to frame the problem correctly. So if we fail, it gives us, so we have not understood the problem. Once you fail, we have, it has, gives information that we have not understood the problem, and we have to rethink it and we have to rebuild it, the customer requirement. So now we come to a different aspects, different examples of design thinking. So I start with the Apple because it's a classical example for design thinking and innovation. So Apple is one of the leading companies that is renowned for its unique product and brand. So if someone has started to use iPhone, so they will not think to switch over, because that is user friendly. Also, it's more secure when compared to other Android mobiles. So there is an emotional relation between consumers and Apple products, including every iPhone product created in the past 2 decades. So you can see now it has gone to 12, 12 Pro, 12 Pro Max. So futures, all the futures with the iPhone, we can do anything and everything that we want to have a modern life. So why are Apple products different from their competitors' products? How does Apple manage to achieve innovation in its product families? It's a history actually. Answering these questions provides interesting insights into Apple's history and how it survived its most critical time between 1985 to 1997. So even we might be knowing Apple for a certain decade, but the development was started even in 1985. They have developed plenty of things, but we are more familiar nowadays with the iPhone and iPod and Mac Pro, all those things. But the evolution have been started in the early years of 1980s. The early days of Apple are characterized by its first personal computer. So this is Newton PDA. So this is what is a personal digital assistant, which have been developed by Apple. So during this time, the Apple was dominating. See, the early days of Apple are characterized by its first personal computer that was delivered with Apple OS or operating systems. During this time, Apple was dominating the market because there were no other manufacturer of this type of computer. During those days, computers were used only by government and large companies. I'm saying in the years of 1980s, computers have been used only by government and large companies, supercomputers that have been kept in a room. It will be huge in size. On those days, the way of development of Apple I'm talking about. Our 1985 Steve Jobs, who is a co-founder of Apple, was forced to leave the company. This marked the start of chaotic era in the company strategy and product development. During this period, Apple faced number of challenges, including unstable strategy due to the change of executive teams, unclear visions about Apple's competitive strategy, especially after IBM entered the PC market. The Apple market has gone down. So unclear visions about selling as licenses, which would put the company in competition with Windows OS. So large number of failed products. So what I have shown here in this slide is Newton PDA, which is nothing but a personal digital assistant which have been introduced in the year 1992. So even you cannot imagine the technology which have been developed by Apple in the year of 1992. This device can take notes, store contacts, and manage calendars. It could even send a fax and even translating handwriting into text. So just imagine in the year of 1992, translate your handwriting into text or sending a fax through a device. It's a really challenging job on those decades. So now these are futures, but nowadays these are the futures in a basic Android phone can do. But just think about it, which have been developed in the year of 1992. But some restrictions which could not make this product a success. So the space limited is only 140 KB. You cannot even imagine just 140 KB the space which have been provided in the Newton PDA. Nowadays you can see in phones even it's like a hard disk. We have 128 GB of space, 256 GB of space, which is being provided in iPhone 12, 12 or 12 Max or 12 Pro. 256 GB data which we can reside inside the iPhones. So on those days, this PDA, which can only have in terms of 140 KB storage, but still Apple supports by providing flash cards like 1 megabyte, 2 megabyte, and 4 megabytes of flash cards that can be plugged into PDA as a storage space. So this is what they have developed, but still, which could not be a complete product, because without completing the understanding the customers' needs and their satisfactions, and then finding out what are the problems that could overcome this, they have released this product, and finally it could end up with a disaster. They could not meet out the requirement of the customers. So this is one of the failure model which have been introduced by Apple in the year 1992, personal digital assistant. So then they have also introduced some successful ones like PowerBook, which is more successful one. And some of the problems in the market have gone down is products not unique in the market, even confusion and uncertainty among Apple consumers resulting from their strategy. So they have once again Steve Jobs returned after 1997. He started to think in a different way, different design thinking, which reflected his vision for Apple products. Until today, this strategy is worked out for Apple for their success. People's needs, understand the people needs and their desires rather than only the needs of the business. So they are not only interested to only do the business, also understand their needs and desires of the customers, building empathy by helping people to love Apple products. That's what I'm saying. So whoever use iPhone, very sleek in manner, all the features, whatever I have, all these things which have been inbuilt in the iPhone, so they will not think to switch over to other Android products. So designers consider both the form and the function of the product. User friendly. So you can see latest iPhone is 12 Pro Max, which is capacity of 512 GB. So you can see 1 TB hard disk is a hard disk actually. That's a separate disk which will be huge in size. Just imagine 512 GB of memory storage, which is available in the iPhone 12, which is being introduced recently. So it's about 250 grams, less than 250 grams. So resolution is 458 pixels per inch. So can have, even you can zoom pixels, and then you can see, can have a high quality image. So you have a Siri options. You can have a voice like a voice message using Siri. You can have a send a voice message. You can set reminders. You can even call from the contact list, and you have a 12 megapixels of camera, and you can zoom up to 10 times. You have facial recognition. You have water resistant, dust proof. So they have introduced one more thing, is a retina flash. So normally in a front camera there will not be any flash in iPhones. So in order to overcome that, the iPhone they have introduced a selfie camera. So to have a flash, to have a dark space, it brights 3 times when clicking the selfie and act as a flash. So that they call it as a retina flash, which have been introduced in iPhone 12. So all these things, all this, they keep on update and then try to understand and try to find out what is the requirement of the customer, and then fulfill their requirement. That's what even it is quite costlier, people go for it and then they buy for it. So there's one more thing, which is iMac, which is excellence in execution, platform strategy, iterative customers involvement, beautiful products, which has a high quality display, better sound. So this is the reason go for iMac. So very sleek in nature. All those things make iMac is also more popular. So this all the things what we have seen is regarding iPhone, Apple products like iMac, iPhone, all those things, iPod, all those things. So second example is I'm talking about different innovations in different sectors. Next one is a health sector, GE Healthcare. Doug Dietz, innovation architect and chief designer of GE. They have imaging machines was take about intimating experience. Suppose we want to do MRI scans for kids, small children. It's very tough on those days. It's very tough to make them to sit and then take the MRI image scanning. So they have to forcefully, they have to go for a sedation. So 80% of the kids they have gone for sedations. Then only they will be able to take a MRI image if at all they are required to take for any emerging situation. So what this GE Healthcare, which they have done is, Diets created CT Pirate Island Adventure. So in the CT scan itself, where the scanner was made to look like you can see in the PPT. It's an image. It's a scanner, MRI scanner. Have a pirate ship and the room decorated with their favorite adventure, serious characters. Consequently, the entire MRI experience make like a playtime for kids. So which make them to be there at something like adventures, pirate ships, and all those adventure places, island adventures. So which reduces the sedations to less than 10 to 20%. It's an achievement actually. So say, without giving sedations, we are able to do image scanning for kids. It's an achievement. That is a design thinking. That is an innovation which made G is uh, superior. Sedation rate went down to 80% to 10%. So both hospitals and parents are also benefited by these commercials. So way of thinking, instead of giving sedations, we should try to attract the children and then try to make them to take image scanning, MRI scannings, all those things. It's a different innovation. And next one is iPod. In 2001, Sony had a no business challenge. So almost who are about 30 or 35 would be knowing. So on those days, so there will be a CD. We have to place a CD on that, and we have to CD player. They call it as a CD player. So we have to carry over the CD player, and as well as the CD, we can play songs only in the CD player. So that is quite large in size. So, but still there is no market, challenging market for Sony in the year of 2001. Sony is a well-known product for audio, like CDs, all those things on those CD players, all those things. Even you can Walkman series, you can find so more number of Walkman series in Sony in the year of 2000s. So transferring music as was a tedious process, but when iPod come into picture, transferring music to a portable player in those pre-iPod days. So we used to carry CD player and then we have to do it. But when iPod enter into market, so replace the CD into a Mac, convert that into put it in an iPod, connect it to a device, iPod device, and place it in an iPod. You can carry an iPod in a packet. You can keep iPod in a packet, and then you can take it and you can play a music. Just imagine, which have been very minimal in size. So when this iPod have been introduced by Steve Jobs in the earlier days, they thought competitors, they are told it's a overrated device that was unlikely to catch on. But after several generations, more than 20 years now, iPod, everybody has started to use. They used to watch, listen music, MP3 players using iPod. So this is also a digital revolution. So in the 2000, Sony thought that there will not be any competitors for their audio device. So, but iPod, Apple, they have overcome using iPod, and they have become a successful MP3 player. This is a revolution in digital music. So, first one what we have seen is a phone. Second one, iPhone and iMac. Second one is a healthcare. Third one is a music revolution, and fourth one is a Nintendo. I think I don't know how many of you are aware of Nintendo. This is a video game product. So they are being there in around 1800s, 1889 they have started. It's a Japan's based company. Slowly they have started. They have worked in different field, but they couldn't success on it. But they have around 3,900 games nowadays, starting from small games to the maximum games. They have all the games nowadays. So all this thing, they have started to think differently. The video game industry core demographic were hardcore gamers. So predominantly, especially for young males. To appeal to them, the existing innovation efforts were centered around better visual graphics or audios. So this one you can see in 2005, Nintendo created by players used to interact. Normally, when those days we will not interact. Players used to interact with the system through body movements. When you move, along with that, the screen will also, the image will also move, and they do different types of gaming section. They have thought differently, and they come up with different ideas. So latest one is Little White Box in Nintendo's. It sold about 100 million unit around the world, and Nintendo is the fifth position company in the world in video gaming marketing, and it's also one of the fastest selling systems ever, and for a period of time. So I'll play a video about 7 minutes about the development of Nintendo, which will give you a brief idea about Nintendo.
Put out weird hardware tailored.
Sir, it is visible, sir. Screen is
Yes,
visible.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The Nintendo Switch is finally here. It's a hybrid of console and portable systems, forged by the lessons learned over 30 years of hardware development, and steeped in the DNA of a company that loves to do things their own way. For Nintendo, each new piece of hardware is a chance to make a fresh start, but nothing is completely new. If you look closely, you can see patterns, ideas echoing through time. Some ideas changed the industry, some completely flopped, and some ideas just weren't quite ready yet. But they all reveal bits and pieces of the identity of the company that created them. To understand what's in store for the Switch's future, maybe we can look for answers in Nintendo's past. Every Nintendo system comes with a piece of iconic hardware, its controller. The Switch and its Joy-Con controllers are no different. Out of the box, you'll be able to choose from several different control schemes depending on the game you're playing. Having so many different controller options has been common for Nintendo, going back to the very beginning. The NES first came bundled with its original rectangular controllers. Soon after, Nintendo released the NES Advantage, which had an arcade stick, turbo controls, and could plug into both Player 1 and Player 2 ports at the same time. Then came the NES Max, which had this awful, terrible, circle pad looking thing, instead of just a regular D-pad. Even in the mid-90s, very late in the console's life cycle, Nintendo released the NES Controller 2, a dog-bone-shaped redesign of the original rectangle. The SNES controller was more comfortable to hold, and added more buttons to allow for more complex games, but the design stayed the same throughout the SNES era. On the N64, Nintendo started supporting more than one control scheme on a single controller. You could grip the three-prong controller in two different ways. It was unique, and sometimes painful. But even though game designers were given more options, just about every game was designed for the controller to be held with one hand on the analog stick. Starting in the early 2000s on the Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance, Nintendo started experimenting with motion controls. Kirby's Tilt and Tumble, Yoshi's Topsy Turvy, and WarioWare Twisted came with custom hardware embedded in the game cartridges to detect tilting and shaking. The DS didn't support motion controls, but it still had plenty of new features. It added more buttons for more complex handheld games, a built-in microphone, and its biggest innovation was its touch-capable second screen. Smartphones weren't nearly as widespread at the time the DS was released, so the DS was one of the few places where games with touch controls were being developed. Having two close screens was used to great effect on the DS and later the 3DS, but the idea did not translate as well when Nintendo tried to adapt dual-screen gaming to the Wii U. The love affair with motion controls kicked into high gear with the Wii, but the results were mixed. Wii Sports, arguably still the best game ever built for motion controls, was available at the launch for the Wii, but more games of that quality were few and far between. The Wii Motion Plus was able to improve the responsiveness of the hardware, but it wasn't cheap, and it only made a difference in a few games. For every game that used motion controls well, like Wii Sports and WarioWare Smooth Moves, you can find dozens of others that just shoved it in as an afterthought. Twilight Princess had a ton of waggle, Wii Music was a disaster through and through, and look at all this shovelware. Oh my god. The basic Wii Remote was designed primarily around motion controls, but Nintendo knew that there would still be games released on the Wii that would work best with a standard controller. Classic games available on the Virtual Console, for instance, weren't designed to use motion controls at all, so Nintendo made more controllers, like in the NES days. The Wii Classic controller had a design that echoed the SNES controller, which worked great for those older games, but also had a more modern layout, with analog sticks and 4 shoulder buttons, which made it perfect for more complex games. Nintendo also released the Wii Classic Controller Pro, which felt even nicer to hold. After the Wii, Nintendo was again wrestling with how to support traditional games while still trying to make their next console innovative. The novelty of motion control games was wearing off, so Nintendo needed a new hook.
This is the new controller for Wii U.
With the Wii U gamepad, Nintendo added a big screen in the middle of a traditional controller to allow new game styles without hindering traditional designs too much. But because of hardware limitations and the expense of each gamepad, Nintendo only allowed one to be connected to a single console at a time. Nintendo seemed unsure of the Wii U's main hook, and to try to fix this problem, they threw the kitchen sink at it. In one way or another, the Wii U works with half of all controllers Nintendo has ever released. The Wii U gamepad, a new Wii U Pro controller, everything ever released on the Wii, a straight up 3DS, and you can even hook up an adapter for GameCube controllers. Granted, only for one game, but The flood of controllers led to practical problems. Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U let you choose between all of these options, which led to an explosion of control schemes. With so many options, it makes it tough for a game designer to focus on making each control option feel good. But the biggest problem with the Wii U gamepad was with its main gimmick, the center screen. It was rarely used effectively. Star Fox Zero used it, but it felt clunky, overwhelming, and a bit forced. Some games that could have used the screen to do amazing things that wouldn't be possible on a traditional controller were never even developed. Look at you, Pokemon Snap 2. It's never gonna happen. What we've talked about so far is a history of standard controllers, but for every generation, Nintendo
So this is about Nintendo, and we'll move to next one, Disney parks. Many of you might be familiar about it. So it's Walt Disney's mind to create an experience that guests cannot get anywhere and cannot never forget about it. Once they enter into Disney park, they ensure that they will never forget about Disney parks. So it's a different thing. Walt Disney created Disney Park with the goal of making special moments, and the key to the experience is attention to make these show the sound effects of the pirates, make sure that Tiki birds were able to have dozens of different gestures. Besides, Disney innovated both filmmaking and resort experience, creating the multiplane camera for film and a complex series of animatronic robots for his parks. So around 140 million visitors, they visit Disney World every year, and they have a different experience when compared to the other theme parks. And Netflix, you might be aware of it. On the past 1.5 to 2 years back, we might not aware of that much about Netflix. We used to go to theater and then watch movies. But Netflix, they have thought long back, and their internet boom, the movie industry that heavily relied on theaters and movie halls started facing it. Internet providers uses the content that they wanted to consume, with the added privilege of conveniently consume it out of their living room. So even we not to go to movie theaters or those places, we can sit and watch according to our convenient time. So they thought differently, and in a structured manner, the proper business, and cannot imagine their business. Actually, it's a Netflix on Blockbuster head on and force it out business. Currently Netflix serves 100 million customers in 130 plus countries, and its value is about $60 billion US dollars. So this is a business that Netflix has currently. And Coca-Cola, so the other different design thinking example for other different design thinking. So it's a rising awareness of harmful effects of carbonated drinks, customized drinks, low calorie drinks, all those things which have been coming to a market to overcome the carbonated drinks. So Coca-Cola thought in a different aspect, and they have introduced a diet, a raspberry Coke, and there were different drinks which are not available anywhere else. So they thought differently, and they have hundreds of individual drinks. According to the customer requirement, they can choose the drink choice, and they can dispense this from the dispenser. So this what is Coca-Cola. They have thought differently, and different what to say diet raspberry Cokes which have been introduced, and they understood the market. The carbonated water, they thought the business could not be continued. They thought differently, and they come up with different products. More than 100 plus beverage they have given us a choice to the customer, by understanding the customer thinking. And final one is Uber. So even though call taxi hiring, which have been started by Uber in the year later 2012, on those days we need to book the we book the cab, or we need to call, and then we have to wait for hours, and according to that, whatever they say, we have to pay without having any idea. So Uber have started market in 2012. They are focused on different aspects, understanding the customer requirement, and they have thought in a different thing. Even though Ola, which have been introduced in later of Uber, they have taken over Uber by providing plenty of flexibilities to the customers. So nowadays you can see, when Ola, which have been introduced in the earlier days, wherever you can book a cab only the place which you are actually. Nowadays you can book a cab anywhere. You can book a cab for someone else, and they have introduced a wallet. Even you can have money in a wallet. You will not to pay any cash. So from the wallet you can pay. Now they have established their thing, that cab to outstations also. It's cheap. It's transparent. So before we boarding into a cab or auto, we know what is the amount that we are supposed to pay. It avoids the unnecessary bargaining, all those things where they are not differently, by understanding the people requirement, and they are quite success there than the Uber. So it's a simple comparison of Ola and Uber. So in Ola, you require a pre-booking cab, you can book. So Uber, no it's just a comparison. No pre-booking is available. You can have 24/7 of Ola call centers. No call center which is available for Uber. Uber as Ola has more visibility. The logo is more visible in all the cabs, but less visibility in case of Uber. So business model is quite different for Uber and Ola, which makes Ola more familiar than the Uber. So not only that, Ola, they have started in different aspects: corporate cabs, three-wheeler aggregation, and even they have started their food business. Ola have started their food business, and they tie up with restaurants, even movie ticket. Nowadays, even quite sometime 1 month, 2 months back, they have started to pay customers by 25,000 rupees on that. 15,000 rupees can be used for traveling, all those things. 10,000 can be given as a cash. They are thinking in different aspects that make them to have a individuality in the market. So the overview of this design thinking is main benefit of the design process that information acquired at the later stage feeds the feedback to the earlier stage when revisited. This forms a feedback loop. Normally, if you want to have a success product or if you want to understand the consumer or customer need completely, we should not have an open loop. Just make a product and then release it. So not only that, we have to discuss with the customer, try to understand what their requirement. After the product is released, we have to talk with them, find out either it fulfill their requirement or if at all, what are their problems, how to overcome it. So we have to understand, take the feedback and give it to the team, and then make the product more efficient and which should be satisfy the customer. And it should be a closed loop, feedback loop. Then only we can have a better product and better solutions. They develop which people will fall in love. If you make a product in this fashion, people will fall in love about the product. So these are the different sectors which I have taken: taxi, healthcare, iPhones, products, iPod, even movies, DVDs, all those things. Different product, different design thinking. So whenever you start to do any thinking or innovations, you should understand the customer requirement to the maximum extent, and we should satisfy their requirement to make them to be more comfortable always. That's it, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the informative session, sir. Participants, if you have any doubt or queries to ask, you can ask. You can unmute your mic and ask. Sir, I have a doubt, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sir. Sir, is there any tools to check this design thinking process, sir? Because if a student is come up with the idea or a product,
Okay.
whether we can able to say it is feasible or like you said, viability.
Yeah,
Is there
we
any
have
more
to.
to check? Yeah.
Not like tools. We have to understand first what is existing, what are the drawbacks in existing. So we should go to the customer, we should go to the consumer, what the problem that face. We have to talk with them, find them, how it would be beneficial, what are the information that they required. We should talk with them, find out. Then we have to think about what are the feasibilities to apply all those things and make us a complete product.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Now I request Ms. Lokeshwari, third year civil department student, to present a vote of thanks.
A warm and gracious afternoon to everyone present here. It's my great privilege to propose vote of thanks for this session. We would like to express our gratitude towards Mr. Vijay sir, IIC coordinator, for organizing such a wonderful session. Also thanks to our beloved HOD Dr. Kumudi ma'am for her continuous support and encouragement. On behalf of our college, SVC, and our civil department, a big special thanks to our speaker, Mr. M.Athappan sir, Assistant Professor, Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, SVC, for sharing his valuable knowledge on design thinking. It gave us deep insights into the topic and also revealed some interesting facts. We are gratitude for enkindling our minds with different innovations from various domains like regarding innovative Apple technology, CT pyrite chip, design strategy, and unique marketing ideas. I'm pretty sure the precious knowledge that Athappan sir gave us will definitely help us in our studies and future. Once again, I would like to thank Athappan sir for taking out time from his busy schedule and enlightening us with the knowledge. Thank you so much, sir. We are expecting more opportunity to learn from you, sir. A heartfelt thanks to all the staffs, students, and the participants who participated actively and paid attention. Thank you all once again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Participants, please provide your feedback. Feedback link is posted in the chat box.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.